Awesome. Okay, and here we go. We're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Naomi Calhoun, the host of this part of the Live Reality Games podcast, which is the Survivor New York Season 3 Blood versus Water recap. Joining me, I have the host, the founder, the one to rule them all, Chris Lord. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here with the three of you. I've known you all so long, so I'm so excited to be here for this one.
And the time keeps ticking on by. It's almost the new year, and I still am stuck in my apartment. And with us, we have we have season 3 production member. You've seen him on literally all the time on Real Foot, but like everywhere. It's Stan, iconic winner of the Survivor Brooklyn South Sequester Mini. How about that?
Thank you. Hello. Hi everybody. Happy to be here. It's been a while. I haven't hung out with you guys, haven't been in New York, but glad to be a part of Survivor New York as always.
I know you left us for the South, and while we understand, we're still mad about it. And we also have with us the most recently eliminated player, the heartbreaker, the king, the head of the snake. We have Pete. Pete, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great. Just want y'all to know I'm still yellow strong to all the way to the end. Just cut it off for now because it gives me a headache.
It looks good.
It looks good on you, Pete. Looks good on you.
I have the same problem. Buffs just like hurt my head for some reason. I can't wear them that long. So we're so excited to be talking about episode 8, which is the second morning. It's day 2 of Survivor New York. Everybody is delirious, grumpy, waking up in the morning, but it's still a day of tons of exciting Survivor play, and we start off with, I think, one of the biggest moves for a lot of people in this game. But before that, let's start off by talking about Pete. After that merge vote, where it was almost you, how are you feeling? What was going on? What did you do? Because we were asleep all night, so we didn't pay attention to what you guys were doing. So talk us through the night after.
Well, remember it has been a few years since we did this, but really, we all went back to the sleeping area, and there were a lot of whispers and a little bit of chatter, but it was so late. We had such a long day. Most of us crashed, to be honest with you. And yes, even after that crazy vote of Sam's, I did sleep next to him. I should have gone to the other end of the tent, but most of us, settle down close to our loved one if we still had one.
And that was a really crazy vote. Did you and Hoy ever sort of talk to each other about what was going on? Did you communicate about how you both just basically survived on the graciousness of other people?
We didn't. We really didn't. Of course, we were targeting Hoy, and we thought we were being really smart. We was going to pull off this great move because we had gotten the word it was me and Mark idol to keep our yellow strong, and we thought we were really being smart and cute. And of course, then Louis gets up and pulls the idol off the host stand and plays it on Hoy. But during that whole game, unfortunately, Hoy and I never really talked. On the meet and greet, when we came in together, the very first minute 0, Sam and I were, as everybody was doing, was sizing up the cast. And we both zeroed in on Hoy. We both said, that's who we want to play with. That guy will be a good player, and that's who we kind of zeroed in on. And of course, he ended up on Sam's tribe, and that's who Sam zeroed in on as well. So, but Hoy and I never really had a conversation, I don't believe.
Wow.
I think it's very funny how after so much can transgress in the game, you start to just be like, I'm not even going to waste my time talking to people. But Hoy is here to say, Pete, and love you, Pete. Hi, Hoy. How are you?
Yeah, nice I love you too, Hoy. We had a great time after the game. We all went to a baseball game together and hung out for the next. Sam and I stayed in New York, and courtesy of Stan, had some tickets. And so Hoy and Stan and Sam and Eddie and I went to a baseball game and had a blast there. That's when I met Hoy.
That's so. I remember seeing the picture of you guys together. I think that was so cute.
I told them to invite like a buddy each from the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
And I'd like to say,
so nice.
my wife Penny has joined us, and also my coworker Leanne. And I just say they both.
Oh.
Oh, hi, Penny and Leanne.
Those are the two women in my life, and they support this crazy madness of mine. So
They support the. Have you seen? So just to take a. Have you seen Pete's office? Pete's office literally is littered with Turtles and Survivor live game memorabilia. Of
Oh
all
my
the games he's
God.
played.
Pete, you
It's
need to
incredible.
take pictures. I love when people like do that sort of thing. Like there is a really popular live reality game player named Ame, which I think you all know.
Mhm.
She did that on her wall, and I saw it on her Instagram, and I thought it was so cool. Just like to have a piece of all your history. So if you have that, Pete, you need to send me a picture so we could post it.
I'm good.
I have hanging up on my bulletin board, which I am not going to get up to go get, because everyone will know that I'm in pajama pants. But I have Stan mailed me the votes from when I won the Real Foot org, so I have my name up
That's
there.
so cool.
I also have the vote. The first time I got voted out, George cast a vote against me, and I have that also hanging up on my wall. It's really fun. It's just like the box of memories. And if I had an office, I sure as hell would decorate it, covered in my Survivor stuff.
That's awesome. That's
So
awesome.
I think just this whole conversation, we've got lots of people here. We have Louis is also here to say hi.
Hey, Louis.
Pete, you came into this game, I would say probably the most experienced person on the whole cast, the person who had played the most, certainly, and knew the most about how to play a fake survivor. Did you think that you were falling into a leadership position? Because I think what ends up happening is you become the head of the Yellow Alliance, and it kind of spirals out from there. Did you worry about becoming their leader or potentially being too in charge of this group of people?
You know, hindsight's so 2020. And I think earlier we had someone say, we've had a couple say that went out early, that they just wanted to come in and take their time and not get in too fast and not play too hard. And of course they were saying, Pete's playing so hard and I don't trust him. It's a 2-day game. While you all think y'all been watching this for weeks, we've had one night. 1 day and 1 night before this next challenge where I'm going to go home. And so you can't come in on day one and on the 2-day game and say, I'm just going to relax and slide by and see what everybody thinks. I came in to play. Now, I see it a little differently than you do, Naomi.
Yeah.
Big talkers, so just tell me when to hush. But I see it a little differently. You all saw me as running it and as the head of the snake. But I'm going to tell y'all, believe this or not, and talk to the people before and after me. We were making these decisions together.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, Eddie and Mark and Emily and Katie, and when Susan came in, we were making decisions together. And you've heard some of them say, I voted the way we agreed. Now, maybe I put a few things in their head. I don't know. But that is the way you play. You can't come in and just sit back and say, I'll just wait and see what happens. I came to play. I had some experience. And did they jump on it? Maybe. Did I offer it? Yes. And there you go.
Also, we have
sounds like a true politician.
And Vanessa, I would have loved to have played with you, but I will say you scared the crap out of me.
But the thing is, Pete, like you say that, but at the same time, basically what we've heard from Yellow tribe members who have been on this podcast, a lot of them sort of have an agreement that you kind of were running things. I don't know if it was just because you were like a father figure or like you had the experience, but it was definitely perceived, even on production side, that you were running things. So to hear you say that's kind of interesting. But
I think that those are the people that are voted out, though. The people I just told you that was making the decisions with me are still in the game or just went home.
Right. I think another part of this, from my perspective, is that you want to latch onto somebody who's smart and knows what they're doing. And even if you're not the boss by any means, you're not bossing everyone around. You just know the most, and everybody is gravitating towards you to help them sort of be guided through this game. I think is what was happening is it's the friend who knows how to act cool, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do whatever they do so that I look cool too. And I think that really shows when you have such a strong yellow alliance that they're in it for the long haul, and they care about each other, which is really interesting.
And
my question though,
to echo what you guys are saying, 1 second. So I've actually are one of the few people here that has played with Pete before.
Mm-hmm.
And Pete is a great
I played with Pete too.
Oh, that's true. I know that's true. But
saying.
The first ever Pete game he's ever played, I can never forget this. He was exactly what the players before have perceived. He's running things. Pete, I don't know. And it's not a bad thing. Like, I would never, I've worked with you because, yeah, Pete's a solid guy, a stand-up guy. He knows what he's doing, a massive threat and a big shield. But I'd rather be on Pete's side than against Pete because Pete knows what he's doing on Survivor. And if y'all don't want to form alliances, well, Pete Morgan's going to form an alliance with another person because the other person would want. So people like Eddie, people like, the people on your tribe that really gravitated towards you, like Mark actually was Katie, they just all gravitated towards you, like like you had magnet, like a mist, a slow magnet, just like. And then when it's time to vote, whoever Pete's voting, whoever's not in Pete's alliance, I don't know. I just watched the show. I watched 8 straight episodes in 2 days, and I'm like, this is vintage Pete Morgan, guys. Vintage Pete Morgan, like. And had you made it to the end and you gave that speech, you would have won, hands down.
Pete, so my question to you is, because this is something we kind of, Naomi and I have brought up with a few people from the Yellow Tribe, is if, let's just say we didn't swap, from your original tribe, do you have any idea who would have been next? I just have always been curious about that. So just put yourself back into that position. Hong just got voted out. You guys are going back to tribal again. Was there somebody on the bottom? Because you guys all sort of said that it was kind of like a group of 7, but I'm kind of thinking that there might have been somebody that was a little bit more loose from the tight.
In my opinion, and we did not discuss this. So you're just getting Pete's point of view. You can ask everybody.
That's fine.
They agree. And I hate to say it, she went further than I did, but it was Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
In my opinion, that would have been my push had we gotten to that point. And but Sarah's such a strong player and such a smart player, and she's great spot. She's been in a great spot since that, and us giving her that advantage has carried her a long way, and we wanted it to carry her a long way. It was our goal to give her. Then we worried we'd put a target on her, but she used it so wisely and still is using it, actually.
Yeah, and also I just want to say Sanchea is here to say hello, and as is Queen T, Tamika, who one of my favorite fans from Reelfoot season 5, and I think that the hypothetical is really interesting, and I actually think the other side of it that we'll have to get to one day is who Purple would have voted out, because I know that Josh was near the bottom and Sandy was near the bottom, but like, who else was there? Who else was sort of vulnerable?
I'm curious for that too.
Yeah,
because like if it was flipped, where, and just to answer Hoy's question, what was the question? It was who would have been next on Purple if there was not a swap, and Pete had said it would be Sarah. But I'm curious if it was flipped and Purple had lost as much as Yellow did, would it have been Avanti, Sandy, and Susan, like we kind of maybe guessed, or would it have been different? I don't know. Anessa says Sandy. I kind of agree with that, but we'll never know.
But it's hard. Look, it's easier to look back now because I have more information today than I had in the game.
Yeah. I mean, even we didn't have as much information until you get to, for us, we get to look back at all the footage. I mean, Chris barely gets to pay attention to the strategy that goes on. So it's, it's kind of like, there's so much chaos happening that it's hard to absorb all of it and process it in a way that's beneficial to you, because I mean, what are you going to do? It's 2 days. And that's why I kind of love the restart that day 2 brings. And especially after such a chaotic tribal council. Pete, how are you feeling about what you needed to do to go further? Did you have any sort of grand plans in mind for day two?
You know, the scrambling that morning was crazy. I wasn't for sure it was going to be me, but you could tell in my face it wasn't like total shock. Sam came to me and said, the only way you're going to stay is if you flip with us, because they were trying to get another number. And they all know that. You heard them talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I said, there is no way in the world I will flip on my yellow. I'm yellow strong. And here's the deal, Sam. And people have asked me about this already. Sam's voted for me twice now. I would have never, put it in your book, Sam. You're not watching. He doesn't watch these. I would have never came down. Not ever. I did write it once, but that was in another game. So, but that was another situation. But I told Sam I couldn't do that. I said, here's what we're going to do, buddy. I'm strong with yellow. You're strong with purple. Play your game. If I'm your guy, go for me. And if you're mine, I'm going to come for you. But that's kind of how we walked off and left it. And that's what he did. And I didn't actually ever get a chance to really focus on something. But I don't think I would have targeted him as early as he targeted me. But so I knew I was in trouble because I turned him away. But, you know, my thinking was, would I rather go with yellow strong and see what happens? Or do I want to go with purple for just another round or two and go home with the first yellow? And that was not satisfactory to me or satisfying to me. So,
well, I think the purple group is very sneaky, as we've said before, and you're basically walking into the lion's den by joining their alliance, which is exactly.
Look at the challenge that morning was what do y'all call it? I call it like class favorite.
Touchy subjects.
Yeah, touchy subjects, superlatives. And you know, look how that turned out. That turned out great for me if you want to be patted on the back. And look how it turned out for Sam. You know, I didn't turn out real great for old Sammy, and he's the one that said, you go get your feelings hurt if you get in this game, you gotta have some tough skin. But it's feelings, just let me tell y'all.
Sam has pretty tough skin.
Yeah.
Inessa points out something here, which I just looked at our voting breakdown. Sam actually votes for Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
But he did vote for you the last vote. He did
vote for Sarah. Thank you, Inessa. Darn, I was wrong. I apologize, Sam. You still vote.
He still will never watch this. It's okay.
It was Mark, Louis, Eddie, Inessa, Hoy, and somebody else.
Gary also
and
votes.
Gary. Yes.
Let's talk about that Mark and Eddie vote sometime when y'all want to.
I mean, we got a whole evening here together.
I think I want to discuss like the strategy. So Pete, did you this is before the challenge. So we start the episode with the morning, everyone's discussing, the play from last night. You're seeing I think you're seeing a lot of Inessa scrambling. She's talking to Sam, she's talking to Sarah, she's talking to you. She tells you that Eddie's her number one, and then you tell her that Eddie's your number one. And then after that, you even see Eddie talk about how he thinks you're a threat and should go home in that group conversation, which I thought was kind of fascinating, how you just say that he's your number one, but he's the first one to throw you under the bus, saying that you're more of a threat than Sarah is. So was any of that surprising to hear back?
Yes, very surprising. Eddie, at that point, was my number one. Before that, it was 100% Katie, which is going to surprise people. But after Katie goes home, then it was going to be Eddie. And Inessa did come talk to me. She was scrambling. She didn't give me a lot of time. We were outside the sleeping area, and I remember it very well. And somebody else walked up, and she really wanted to talk to them more than she wanted to talk to me. And she literally just put me on hold and said, I'll be back. Hold that thought. And she ran around the corner to talk. I don't think we ever talked again. But Eddie, it was very surprising. I would have gone to the end with Eddie.
I think that was a misread on, like, just from a third party. That was a misread on Pete's part, and much credit to Anessa's game, because Anessa snaked Pete first before Pete can get enough people to snake Anessa. Because I think where Nessa's kind of playing a more sneakier game, whereas Pete is more like strength in numbers. If I can keep my numbers and bulldoze my way through a lot of the purple that were fodder at one point, and I'm going to offer a lifeline to Sam. Hey, Sam, come vote with me. I'm going to keep you vote because your numbers are dwindling. I think that was Pete's strategy, but then I think that was a really brilliant game move to take Pete out where they had to, because Pete's someone who you do not want to see in close to the end of the Final Four in this game. Because if he wins that challenge, you're in trouble. Your chances of winning are in jeopardy, no matter what you say. There's a lot of people
I agree with that.
Love Pete Morgan.
But my question, I mean, maybe Anessa and Hoy can discuss this, but they had targeted Sarah for a very long time. They had the numbers to vote Sarah out here and then potentially just vote Pete off next if they wanted to. So my question always for them will be, why not Sarah now? She didn't win immunity. This is your one clear shot. There's no connection with Sarah. Nobody has a partnership with her. Whereas Sam could maybe bring Pete in as a number once Sarah's gone, because after that, Pete will literally have no numbers because Sarah was a yellow. So what was maybe, that's the question too. Why do you think Sarah wasn't the target, Pete? Like, why you? And your mindset back then, like what went through your mind?
I think it was me closing the door on Sam's. I think they sent Sam to probably talk to me, and I closed the door hard in his face. And if he went back and reported that, then now I would have been up for the idea for the 4 pairs: Eddie, Anessa, Mark, and Lou, and Sarah and Emily, and me and Sam. But even that was just going to last so long. A little beyond that, and so truly believed in my heart we were yellow strong and that we were going to be able to carry this. And because of the nature of this blood versus water game, which is what y'all love about it, that blood became thicker than water and turned 2 key people. But I think it was me closing the door on Sam. Sam knew I wasn't going to work with him.
Hoy brought up a good point in the comments. It wasn't really a scandal to suggest that Pete needed to be the next vote, because he did get the votes of the previous tribal. And I think in the previous episode, people were already talking about Pete being the guy in yellow. Actually, at the night in night 1, when he had dinner, the dinner conversation was, who are we targeting? Who's the head of the snake in yellow? And Sam was like, who, tell me. Like, and they're like, Pete? He's like, is it Pete? Is it Pete? Just tell me. I'm going to vote Pete out. Okay, all right, boom, done. So, like, that time when people were suggesting it was Pete, like 2 episodes ago, like, it's they knew.
Well, and the one thing I wanted to say here, too, is that, Pete, you had mentioned that Sam says to you, well, come work with Purple, and you say no. Same exact thing happened to Mark and to Eddie, and they just said yes. I think it's the same moment of, hey, I have all these numbers on Purple. I believe in my Purple Alliance. Come work with me. And I think if you don't get to spend a lot of time with people like Gary and Anessa and Louie and Hoy, you don't know how big of a threat they are until you like meet them. So when you know that somebody is as sociable as Pete, you're thinking, well, Pete's the devil I know. Pete would probably beat me. Let's go with the people I don't know, which is, I'm going to say it, a mistake. I think you got to stick with the yellow alliance, because the people on Purple are always going to be, I think, just in any situation that you're in a blood versus water game, it's more advantageous for your blood versus water pair to have you on the jury than to be in the finals with you. So you shouldn't work with your blood versus water pair, because they're going to get you either to the end and you're going to be sitting on the jury voting for them, or, it's just not, I think, you got to utilize them.
I think the strategy in a blood versus water is not how you and your pair work with each other or not work with each other. It's how you read the other pairs in the game. Anessa and Eddie were never going to work against each other. No matter what, Eddie is going to flip with Anessa, not Pete, who he just met yesterday. It's the big sister. Mark and Louie, they were on the side, like, we don't have to vote for each other, but I'm not coming after you. Like, we'll just stay yellow and purple. Like, we're not the targets. We're good. There was a moment there. And then there were
Sam is here. Oh my god.
Sam is here.
Sam is
about
here.
time he showed up.
Surprise of the
Wow.
night. Surprise of the night. Sam, I'll see you next week. I'll see you on
Sam
Saturday.
is here, and just a reminder for everybody in the comments, everybody here, this is a spoiler-free podcast, so we're not going to talk about what ends up happening. But technically, Sam has beaten Pete, so he gets that feather in his cap at this point in time.
It's not that big of a feather, trust me. It's not that big of a feather.
And this episode was so much fun because I think the touchy subjects is such a fun challenge. We get to see Susan being classic Susan, and the putting the lives into the fire. That's what I love about touchy subjects, is not just people revealing what they think of other people, but also saying, I'm going to take your life away in the game. And that's what a really fun challenge this was. Pete, was there anybody, I can't remember, was there anybody who took your life that you felt particularly upset at, since you had 3 slips of paper? I can't remember.
Can y'all still see me? Or can
yes, it's all good.
Anessa did take, I think, Pete's last life. She was being eliminated, so she said, Pete, I'll just take yours, and we just both go out together.
Yes.
The other ones, I want to say one was Louis or Mark.
Pete, you good?
Remember who took them now? There were no big surprises. I never expected to go that far in that game. I never do well in that game because people can, I think some of my answers that they had for me were kind of predictable. So I was just about everybody got it right. And so it was just a matter of time till they took me out of that. I wasn't surprised. There was no surprise. I have lost y'all on my camera. I'm going to try to get you back. So if I lose you, I'll come back.
You're still on.
We can see you. So
that's more important. That's more important.
That's fine.
Okay, I just won't see y'all. What's going on? I'm okay. Keep going.
Was there anything that you guys all thought was like? I mean, obviously for me, the Susan saying that Louis was her crush and telling Emily, "Don't tell Dad." Like that was one of the funniest moments of the entire game. But was there any moment there that was extremely funny for you guys? Like, what was your favorite?
Sam being voted smelliest. That was hilarious.
I laughed so loud, at my television when I forgot about this. It's been a couple of years. It's all new, and I forget all the challenges. And Sam came up a couple of times. I mean, I know Sam. It's pretty funny how he came up for some of the answers. And then I'm pretty sure I was the one who filmed the confessional about, hey Sam, how do you feel about getting all the negative superlatives? He's like, oh, yeah, you gotta have thick skin.
Yeah, he got the smelliest. He got who makes you the most angry,
and who do you never want to see again?
Who do you never want to see again? Yeah.
That's funny.
That's the roughest. That's like the roughest ones, I think, for sure.
I think, to Sam's credit, he immediately points out, this is just to get under people's skin. It's fine. I don't really care. Don't worry about it. He's just like, that's the whole point of this thing, which I thought was very funny.
He was a good sport about it. Sam was a good sport about it.
I love this, and what a challenge to start the day off with, because I think everybody had gotten to know each other, and I think 2 days of sleeping near people that are strangers, you start to get annoyed with them. So it's the perfect time to be like, hey, do you guys not like each other? Let's talk about it. Oh, and then Anessa says Susan voted me for each time for those.
She did.
Yeah, she did. But I think it's kind of funny because I think Susan only got one question right, and then she got every single other one wrong the rest of the game. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
That's funny. No,
oh my gosh!
And Gary was so angry at Eddie. Just watching that back, he just really did not like the fact that Eddie was taking him out. And I think it's interesting because Eddie and Gary have this interesting relationship, and I think it definitely brings into the next episode the ramifications from what happened here. I'll just leave it at that.
I forget what happened, so it'll be interesting now that I'm kind of back in the swing of things.
Yes, and so Stan, what other observations have you had over watching this season, especially in regards to I think Pete, probably the best out of all of us. What were you thinking as you were watching this game sort of transpire?
So actually, funny story is I've known Chris a lot longer than I've known Pete. True story, right, Chris? We played orgs when we were like 12 or something, and then I quit for like 10 years, and then we met again. That's how I got involved in Survivor New York before Realfoot. Anyway,
isn't it crazy, like how orgs are taking over? But we used to play them in like 2001. Like this is insane.
Easy boards and Survivor sucks.
This is insane. They're so much more
and then
popular
now. Like because quarantine, everyone's playing them.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think I love the season. I love the gameplay. I think. I mean, obviously, I had a few friends coming in. I was friends with Pete and Sam. I brought them. They stayed at my house or my apartment. And then, like, Gary, I knew beforehand. So it was really interesting for me to see how Gary played. But then what was really cool, and I got to meet a lot of new people, like Emily, Susan, Hoy, Eddie, and Inessa, of course. But how the dynamic of Blood versus Water. I'm a strategist. I'm a gamer. I love seeing great gameplay. And I think where the rubber kind of met the road this season is when I knew there were going to be two strong alliances, a yellow and a purple alliance. If Pete Morgan's in one of those alliances, it's glue. That's just from how you play with Pete. It's glue. And then someone's going to come out of purple and going to be running the show with a strong alliance. It actually happened to be Inessa, who was the one I thought was perceived to be running the purple alliance in Hoy, actually. And they kind of decided who went home or whatnot. But what was really interesting is where the dynamic came when they merged, right? When Pete and Sam they were like, all right, are we going to be good buddies or are we going to butt heads? I feel like Sam's trying to butt ahead and Pete's like, hey, buddy, come work with me. Like, I've known you for a while. Like, we live in the same town. Whereas, like, people like Inessa and Eddie without, like, we're a pair. Right, Louis and Mark were under the radar, and obviously I think the singles were kind of like all over. Hoy was a really, and then that's how the singles played. Hoy lost his loved one fairly early, but he's a really strong player, and he was actually, I think, the catalyst for a lot of what happened. He saw that there were a lot of pairs, and he just needed to get rid of someone who can have a really strong relationship with a Sam who was one of their numbers. So if they chopped Pete off, Sam would be one of theirs. So I think that's where the really interesting part of this is. And not a lot of Blood versus Water seasons kind of pan out like that. You know, people pair up and then the pairs pair up, and like that's how I viewed the season as.
Well, the other interesting thing that we can talk about is that, and this is something I didn't really know, we see Gary bring up to Hoy, maybe we vote out Inessa. And then Hoy's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And then it just kind of gets blown away in the breeze. But Pete, did you hear Inessa's name going around? We've seen Hoy be the alternate vote for a long time, be the vote we're going to throw our votes on. But I never really heard Inessa before this.
No. I was loyal enough to Eddie that I wouldn't go after Inessa at that point. And the same with Susan and Emily. Susan was an underdog on our side there for a while, and it just wasn't an option because we had that much respect for Emily. And the same with Inessa. She was pretty safe with me. I knew she was somewhat targeting me. It was just my gut. I didn't know because somebody told me, just in my gut, that Inessa was targeting me. And Eddie gave me assurance that she wasn't, but that was just Eddie's
I think that was Eddie being told by Inessa to don't tell Pete that I wasn't.
The puppet. Let's just call him a puppet then. I'm gonna call Eddie a puppet.
I have to say, like, Inessa and Louis, you guys get so much credit because the fact that Inessa and Louis could take Mark and Eddie and basically say, just come with us and you'll see how your game is going to go once it's down to our group, when they technically had the majority. I mean, look at the numbers. Yeah. Susan and Emily, Sarah, Pete, Mark and Eddie, that was the majority. That was the number right there. You had it. So they took that and decided, you know what, let me go with my loved ones, take that chance. Let me work with people that I haven't even played this entire game with so far. And let me do that. And I think you have to look at it this way. Inessa and Eddie are brother and sister. But something I didn't know really until recently was that Louis and Mark weren't like the bestest of friends. They weren't like from what I've heard, they weren't like best friends. Like they knew each other from some Survivor events here and there. They were friendly. Was there a Tinder date? I don't know. Something that may have happened. You can comment in the comments, Louis, about that because I'm curious about the relationship. So that's why I think there was that conversation during the merge vote between Louis and Mark. It was like, you play your game, let me play my game, because they were here just to play Survivor. And I think that the blood versus water theme was something that they needed in order to play the game. So they were going to play, but however they wanted to, but Mark ultimately chose to play along with Louis in what he thought were the numbers. So I definitely give Vanessa and Louis a lot of credit.
I think it's a testament to how if you really try and spook somebody and you really try and freak somebody out, you can make a lot happen with fear, and you can make a lot happen by saying, well, we've got Eddie's vote, so if you don't come with us, you're going to Rocks, or if you don't come with us, you're going to be on the outskirts, and it can really do a lot. And Louis says, I'll never tell. That's
I'll just ask Mark.
We love to hear it.
I have a great video of Louis giving Mark a piggyback ride after Andrea Belke's fundraiser event, and we're just like walking down the street in New York City, and it's a great video that I will never share, but it's very funny. And I think if they weren't best friends before, I certainly hope they're much closer now after everything that went
down. A good way
down.
to bond. Survivor New York.
So, Pete, did you have a favorite experience in the game or a favorite, because you talked a lot about, obviously we saw in your exit sort of speech and what you said to the camera afterwards. Did you have a favorite moment from Survivor New York, or a favorite like maybe challenge memory or game memory that you want to share with us?
Well, y'all know I love the game, beginning to end, whatever it is for me. I think the first morning, getting to know everybody and trying to build those bonds was important to me. You know, obviously I come in somewhat usually with the target on my back, just by, you know, if I could play with a mask on, I always say I do better, but it doesn't work that way. But, you know, I did have to play quick. I love the challenge with the skis, where we had to all work together. And we had been just a little bit disjointed in trying to work together, but I felt like in the challenge for the first time in those skis, we killed that challenge as a tribe. We just were in unison. I like that. And so that was probably my favorite challenge. Obviously a big disappointment, bless her heart, and I love her to death, was when Susan went the wrong way in the challenge. We were killing that challenge. We were winning that challenge. And she had seen everyone else do it, and we'll never know what was in her mind. And people I just want to take up for her. People will say, well, that was so silly. She went the wrong way. She'd watched everybody else. Until you're in that moment, until you're playing that game and you're tired and you're stressed and you're worried about performing well. I mean, her mind just took her the other way for whatever reason. But that was a downfall for us, and the game really could have been totally different had that not happened. But y'all know, I love the game. Come on, how can you not love this game?
Pete, I heard that you are retired from live reality games. Is that true or false?
That's true. That is 100% true. I will go on record.
So that was Survivor New York your last game, or did you play a different game after that? I'm curious.
New York was my last game.
Wow.
Well, if it wasn't football, it wasn't gonna be.
Well, he's right. I was down to play another game this summer, and COVID took us out. Mm-hmm. The game went ahead. I just wasn't able to go.
Sam's like, whatever.
I watched it on.
Put that there, Naomi.
Now let me just finish, Stan. I watched it on Facebook, and the game that I was supposed to be in. And guys, I just can't tell you, my heart wasn't in it, and I was really glad I wasn't there. And I love those people, and I love the game. But at some point, you just have to shut up, Sam. At some point, you have to say, you've done it. You've been there. I'm in production now for Reelfoot, Surviving Reelfoot. I'm loving that side of the game. You guys have done it. I watched you all. I model myself after some of the things you all did. And you all, for such a quick game, had a lot of good qualities in production. And so that's where I belong now.
I appreciate that. I did for a second think you were talking about my real foot game. I was like, so you sleep more? I don't know what you're talking, but then I figured out what you're actually referring to. And your friend Leanne says, I don't believe she's retiring, which
But Pete, so the question is like, if you get invited for Real Foot All Stars or Survivor New York All Stars, are you really going to say no?
If I get invited for Real Foot Survivor, I am really going to say no.
What about Survivor
okay.
New York, Pete?
I don't think would invite me back for Survivor New York because of my performance really wasn't that good. But I would love to come help you all on production if you would let me do that.
Oh,
we had such big plans for season 5, and I think that was the season. I think you guys have had this on Real Foot, where we knew that like people were going to want to do production, and it was going to be a cutthroat, like who's going to be production. So I'm glad we got a little more time to figure that out. But at the same time, I really am still so sad that we didn't have season 5. But obviously, it's in the pipeline, and that's a good reminder that just in case you guys don't know, that we have a casting pool open, and if you wanted to play Survivor New York, you can apply to talk to us in the future about potentially playing. So just putting that out there, putting the energy out there for anybody who's interested. And I think
it's a great 2-day. Plus, you get to do New York.
That's true. Pete and Sam and Pete went. So if y'all didn't know, because obviously they're not in the episodes, but Sam and Pete, when they stayed with me in Brooklyn, they got to be 2 little kids in the candy store seeing Manhattan, the big city. Actually, was it?
Because I lived in Manhattan. I've been in Manhattan. I lived there for a summer when my
Sam's
children modeling. But Sam had never seen the big city, and he truly was like a kid in a candy store. And it was a great experience of him. Sam is my best friend. He's online. He knows that. I would walk through fire for Sam, and he would do the same for me. We did this game. It's just another bonding experience for us, and it definitely did. And we love to. Well, I love to argue about it now for a little bit, but it was just a great time. I mean, it's how can you do something like that with your best buddy and experience first things together at our ages? I mean, I was 62 maybe then, and he was 50. So yeah.
And I thought it was a great moment when so did you not tell anybody your age when you played? Because you seemed to sort of reveal in your exit speech, you're sort of saying, well, actually, this is how old. You just never told anybody specifically, I assume.
How big a surprise was it? I did wear a hat most of the time, and it was to kind of hide my gray hair.
He told me that actually. He's like, Stan, for the first time, I'm actually gonna wear a hat to hide my gray hair. Do they think they're gonna think I'm younger? I'm like,
well,
not
the
sure.
best they would have been 59. But
maybe shave 5 years off.
Yeah, you don't have many 60-year-olds that play this game, so I know I'm a unique character. I wish more 60-year-olds did. It has kept me young, and what I said way out is 110% true, and it's how I feel. They don't realize how much fun that was for me, for them to let me into their life for just 2 days and be like them for just a couple of days, and you carry that with you for a lifetime. Whether it's 5 more years or 10 more years or 30 more years, I carry that with me. And I hate to call them all kids. They're not all kids. But they let me play with them like that for 2 days.
Pete, your words were so amazing. I have to say, like the exit speech, the final words. I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw both, I cried because I didn't know like my games could evoke sort of that emotion from people. So that made me feel very emotional that this game and those people could make you feel that way. And I forget exactly what you said, but I think it was like, you don't need to wear the crown to win the game or something like that. I just thought that was really important, that people need to know that just being a part of these live games and being a part of this community is just really, I think, winning in a sense. Like this is a family, and we have these relationships for a lifetime. The game was 2 days, but these relationships have lasted for 2 years now.
Oh my God.
And longer. So I really loved what you said, and I'm very grateful that you said that.
Let me just share for a second without getting too personal. Sanjay and I, who didn't get to play in the game very much, but we've had very emotional, touching conversations, real conversations, and it was through the game that we made that connection. And so, yeah, you can't take that away from people.
I did make a GIF of Pete saying this because I thought it was such a great moment. I do not have to wear the crown to win in this game, and I thought that is a lesson I think a lot of people who play live reality games could take away from it. Because at first I wanted to win a game of Survivor, but in the end, I think you recognize that I don't think I would not have the adult friends that I do now in New York City, where it's so tough to make friends, without Survivor. I wouldn't know Stan, I wouldn't know Chris, I wouldn't know you, Pete. And it's such a privilege to get to share the experience with everybody from all walks of life, that it's, if you walk out of the game thinking that you have lost something rather than gained something, you're not coming into the game with the right attitude. It's all about meeting people and walking away with a sense of either friendship or knowledge about yourself. And I think that's why these final words are so touching. We've all played these games to maybe try and fit in more or try and get somebody to like us, and you walk away with it with some friendships, and it's exciting. So I agree, Chris. I was very emotional when I watched it. I thought it was such a great.
And it was a great shot too. Like Pete looked so good. That's his final words. Like he looked so good. The cinematography on that was amazing.
Yeah, that's all Jess, I believe. Jess really knocked those final words out of the park, which I really love about her.
And I think, from my end, Pete, the biggest gift, not gift, that the live reality game community or experience that I've had is actually Pete Morgan. To me, Pete and I have met like 5 years ago. Geez, like I actually took the risk and went to Tennessee when it was super small, and that's why I'm like, Pete, it's your turn. Come play Survivor New York. And then him and Sam came over because I stayed at Pete's, had dinner with him, met his family, and got to know Pete over the last 4 years. And as great as he is in the game, he has broken all the barriers. Old men in Survivor go home early every single time. How many old people, except for Bob Crowley, and then made the end? Pete is a favorite to win every single time he steps on that field. I don't care how big his target is. It's a testament to how great of a player he is, how great of a human being he is, and he's super. And in real life, he's such a compassionate person. He loves everybody. He has so many people in his life because of this experience. He's played more live games than you and me combined.
I know. We should go through the list. Can you tell us in chronological order all the games that you've done? I'm just curious.
Just the live games, I hope.
Live games.
Yeah, just live games. Live
games are easy. I played Reelfoot Season 3. I sent Amos Smith a message that I'd like to be his first 60-year-old contestant, and he replied. I did not know Amos, had no idea who he was.
Wow, I thought you knew Amos. I thought you were friends with him. Oh my God, I had no idea.
I had no idea.
Wow.
I had no idea who Amos was.
That's amazing. Okay.
And then, so
that he would love to have his first 60-year-old for me to apply, and I applied. I was super nervous, and I had gone on a cruise with friends for my 60th birthday. And on my birthday, Amos sends me a text that I had been cast for. You would have thought I had been cast for CBS season 33 or whatever it would have been. So that's the first. And while I was there, I met Rebecca from Pirate Booty Camp. And she asked me at Reelfoot if I would consider playing a game in Wisconsin. And I said, absolutely not. And about 2 weeks later, I texted her and said, is that still an offer? And she said, it sure is. And so that's what and I went to Wisconsin. And by the way, my flight was canceled and I couldn't fly. That morning, I was supposed to be on the set at 3 o'clock, and I'm in Paducah, Kentucky with no plane. And I called Penny and I said, I'm driving to Wisconsin. She said, just come home. It's
my God.
You don't need to drive. You're in your old car. It won't make it. I said,
what did you say, Pete? You just cut off there. There was a one-liner that needs to be heard, but you cut off. What did Miss Penny say?
She said, just come home. It's just a game. Just don't go.
And then what did you say?
I said,
he's cutting off.
No.
It's okay. That's the internet for you.
But yeah, no, actually, this whale on top of my fridge, where is that up here? It was Pete's housewarming present for me when I moved to Kentucky. He helped me move in, and it's such a cool thing that because of these live games. Don't worry, Pete. When you watch us back, we're talking good stuff about you.
Yeah, I think Pete's a little frozen right now, which is a shame because I want to get
I think he's coming back. Maybe not.
I'm trying to tell. This is
again.
He doesn't even talk to you with zero internet. So it's a miracle we got this.
I think we could sort of. I think we could figure it out. So Pete played Real Foot, then he played Pirate Booty Camp. Did he play Real Foot again, Sam? Was it All Stars he played again?
He played Second Chances.
Second Chances. And then I know he played Blood versus Water Pirate Booty Camp. Did he not? With Austin or something?
Austin, he did. With Austin and then Survivor.
Yeah, and then Austin won because that was his Blood versus Water pair. And then after that, he came to play Survivor New York.
That's it so far.
And then that was it. So 5 games total. Interesting.
And I also wanted to just say a quick shout out to the king himself, Parker Barnett, who said this lineup is incredible, and I love Parker.
Without, I think Pete's gonna do it, and he texted me that he was, but I'll do it on his behalf while he's not here, so he can talk about himself more in this game. But we are casting for Survivor Real Foot season 9. Can't believe that it's season 9. I met Pete in season 3, and we played again in season 6. And his wife, Miss Penny, was like, "I wanted you to work with that Asian guy." And we walked out, got voted out back to back, and he showed me around his little town of Fulton, Kentucky, and everyone knows Pete by name.
Yep.
Oh, Mr. Morgan, driving to the McDonald's. Hi, Mr. Morgan. Takes you to his office. I'm like, I've never seen a hay bale in my life before. And then everyone in this little town knows Pete. He's like, either I was a principal or I sold them their house or something like that. I don't know.
I was just going to say one of my favorite Pete memories is that I played in the Surviving Real Foot org, which I won, no big deal, after getting voted out. But Pete was my idol because I found a hidden immunity idol, and then I got sent a YouTube link, and I was like, I don't know what this is for, but it has Pete on a boat in it. And I opened it and it's Pete going, "Hi, y'all found your immunity idol." And I was like, this is the best day of my life. I can't believe it.
Yeah, so we hosted that, and what we did, Pete was actually in a lake somewhere. I'm like, "Pete, I need you to do me a favor. Film a video saying, 'Congratulations, you have won the hidden immunity idol. Good up to the final 5. Save video, send it to me. I'll upload it in YouTube, and that'll be my hidden immunity idol." So Naomi got it. And she's like, "What do I do with this?" And I'm like, "Watch it." But I think Surviving Real Foot, we have a really great location. I think, Parker, when is the casting finish? November 30th, I think, is your last day.
Sometime in November.
So
you can find Surviving Real Foot on Instagram and Facebook. So definitely connect with them there.
Instagram and Facebook. Pete Morgan is a part of him, Amos, and Parker are now running everything. So if you want to meet Pete and be a part of the experience, apps close November 30th for Real Foot. I'll be there. I'll be the medical COVID enforcer, hopefully. And we'll do a safe and we have to guys.
You'll be our Chantel, because we'll have Chantel on site.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I have to make sure that everything's going to be run safe.
Yep.
For everyone who's watching and everyone who's curious, times are changing. And we have to be cognizant of that. And who's back?
You did it.
Pete, I just talked about Real Foot, so you don't have to talk about that. And I talked about
I bet you did a good job.
How you gave me the whale as your housewarming present from you and Miss Penny. It's up there still.
Pete, where's Penny at? I think we should bring
Come here, Penny. You better get on before we lose sight again.
Also, Pete has 2 very adorable dogs, and I loved getting to meet those dogs to your house after Real Foot.
I want to meet your dogs. Where's your dogs?
Oh, we want to see the dogs too. Well, she'll go back and get the dogs.
Oh,
they're very
cute.
Anyway, sorry about that, guy. My internet's just been in and out all night. I'm surprised it stayed this long. But
I know, we were so lucky. All right.
We've been married 44 years. Penny, and it's this month, actually next week. And
wow.
Together since elementary school.
Here's our baby. Oh,
so cute.
Oh, hi, Penny.
Hi, Penny.
Hi. I'm having a bad hair day.
Okay, I'm having a bad hair day every day in quarantine.
I'll take the dogs, and y'all can ask Penny a question. Y'all said you want to know how she felt about this.
Yeah, Chris, go ahead. Ask away.
Hi,
Hey, Miss
Penny.
Penny.
So, what was your thought on? So, Penny, Pete has played about 5 live games, but this is like the first time that, from my memory, that the whole journey was sort of filmed and put out into episodes, kind of just like the real show. Did you enjoy watching Pete play the game?
Oh yes, definitely. He enjoys me watching the game.
And my anyone else have a question? I have one.
Leanne says hi.
Yeah.
One thing that I said to Penny, I said something about not knowing one of the contestants very well. And she said, my gosh, how can you not know him? This is like episode 6. I said, baby, this is like 4 hours into the game. We just woke up. I think that's something people miss watching the episode live, because she just couldn't believe I didn't know this character very well. And really, it was Josh. And if you remember, Josh had just come to our tribe in the SWAT, and I didn't know Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys never interacted. The thing is, the tribes never interacted unless it was at a challenge. But other than that, they were immediately separated. So yeah, you never talked to anybody on Purple until the swap happened.
Right.
Miss Penny, I do have a question. I think it would be appropriate to ask on live. So, I know you guys watch Survivor religiously since the start, but when Pete was 60 and he decides to play Rowfoot, and then suddenly goes and plays 4 or 5 other games all over the United States. We've laughed about it a couple times before. What did you think? And what was going in your why is my husband doing this? With children, with kids a third his age, pretty much. There's kids he plays a third of his age online, a quarter of his age.
He's a kid at heart. He really he enjoys people younger than him. I think he likes that mentor because he never really had one. And like most people and all my friends, oh my gosh, he's crazy. Why is he doing that? Why is he putting himself through that? But that's just who he is. So.
Right. And I think, I walked away from Reelfoot. I didn't make a lot of friends on my actual tribe, but I walked away making friends with you, Pete, and making friends with Michael O'Rear. And I walked away being I just met some really, really lovely people. And that was my favorite part of the whole experience, was getting to meet you guys on production. That was such a joy. And I think when Dan sort of said that you were coming back for this, I was so excited because it meant more time to get to hang out and get to know Pete. It was really exciting. And you also were so gracious enough to have us at your house. And that was even more fun. That was a whole experience. If someone is thinking about doing Reelfoot, do it for the Pete Pool Party.
For the people, for the experience.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Exactly.
Nessa has a question, and I think this would be an interesting round panel.
Well, yeah, and that's another question. I just want to say that Parker is here and says Penny is the best. And yes, Inessa wants to know who's a Survivor player that Pete thinks he's most strategically similar to, which I think is a great question.
My answer would be well, I don't remember half of the Survivors. I just forget them out. That's what Pete's answer is going to be.
I go back to an early season 2 or 3, honestly. I don't remember. Kentucky Joe. He was.
I knew you were going to say Roger. I knew it. How did I know?
He had a great connection with
Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yes.
And while and I typically tend to connect with the bro person, but I mean they're always younger. And that he just had a good heart, and he was a good player, and he was willing to sacrifice himself, and
he was loyal.
He was very loyal to a fault, and
he took the father role with Elizabeth and all of them.
I actually don't think that gives Pete's game enough credit. Comparing Roger Bingham, I would compare Pete to Suri. And here's why. Suri's older, compared to the Parvati's and the Amandas and the people that she played with in every single one of her season. Everybody knows she's a threat. She claims, "Oh, I'm a couch potato, not really that athletic." He's like, "I'm not going to win a race against anybody." Well, that's going to be fine. But he has such a strong social game and a strong strategic mind that people, despite knowing that he's a big threat, Suri makes it far with a lot of strong allies every single time. And like, if Pete gets to the end in any of, I'm gonna say that because he's retired, Leanne. Let's talk about it. I don't believe it. But if he makes the final three, you're in trouble, right? Like, because Pete is there with Roger. Arguably, probably would have won Australian Outback, but I think that's his personality is very Kentucky Joe. He's from Kentucky. You know, he's never lost an election in Kentucky. True story. and you know, that's the Pete side, but he's very strategic and a very good Survivor player, probably one of the best.
I want to say one other thing. I think I've been very lucky. Lucky in the game I'm talking about. Everybody and their friends. There's 125 alumni in Reelfoot, so it's such a major family. But lucky in the game because sometimes people like Stan talk about using me as a shield. You know what? I kind of used him too.
It's true.
The younger people have surrounded themselves around me for whatever reason, and it has. I don't want to say they carried me because I'm not going to say that. But I've just been lucky. I mean, when I Chris knows exactly what I'm talking about. Chris was with me, and then Chris wasn't with me. That's just the game. But I was so lucky that he was willing to be with me when he was with me. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of this game is luck. Strategy, sure, but you can have all the strategy you want all day, and if the people don't accept it or respect you, move on, you're gone.
But you have a mist, Pete, that like just instantly attracts people, and that's the first impression counts on day one.
Oh, I agree. First impression.
Yeah.
Pete Parker just mentioned in the chat, Pete will love this comparison. He's Nick Wilson. We know you, fanboy.
Yeah. I'm meeting Nick in 2 weeks, just for the record.
Oh.
Where are you meeting Nick?
Oh, Pete.
I'm going to his county. He's an attorney, and I have a meeting about an hour away. And
your friend there.
And I have a friend in the county that has the same job that I do, and we've set up.
He loves Nick Wilson.
I don't want to be too goofy.
Fanboy.
Oh, that's so special.
There's one person that Pete will. There's one person that Pete will stutter and like get like fanboy over. It's Nick Wilson.
Yeah.
I have another question for Penny. So Penny, if Pete had asked you to play this game and it was his only way to play the game, would you have played? And how do you think you would have done if you had said yes?
I would have played if he had asked and it was the only way for him to do. We're so different and so opposite. I don't know that I would do as well as Pete. I'm more laid back, don't talk a lot, and kind of having a target on your back from being an older person anyway. I think that would immediately take me out, where Pete goes in, you know, guns blazing. Here I am, let's talk, you know, what do you do? And I'm sitting back, strategic, watching people. So I probably wouldn't have done very well.
I would love to see Penny play a game.
I would love to see Miss Penny play a game too. Miss Penny, it wouldn't matter if you voted out early. We'd go to Woodbury Commons and go shopping.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it. Penny plays season 5 and Pete is on production.
Yeah.
Let's manifest that.
And then we go shopping.
Yeah.
Outlet shopping after, right, Miss Penny?
Yes, that'll work.
Shout out to the Woodbury Commons.
No.
That's where Chris works too.
Yeah,
it is where Chris works, but I have lots of fond memories of shopping with my mom there. So I'm gonna say shout out to the Woodbury Commons.
That's what Pete said. If Penny comes, she'd be at Woodbury Commons shopping while Sam and I play. True story.
I think if I've ever played Survivor in New York, I'd do the same thing. If I got voted out, I'd just be like, I'm gonna go spend my money. I'm out of here.
That's right.
That's
I want to say with Penny sitting here, I mean, she compliments me so well, and we've been doing this for so many years, and we have 2 wonderful boys and 3 great grandchildren and daughter-in-laws and all this stuff. But she is very gracious to let me do this. It is a sacrifice. Do not anyone think it's not a sacrifice for her not to let me go on these adventures. And now I play orgs, and it's a sacrifice for me to play an org. I'm in here on a computer, and she's sitting in the den by herself watching TV while I'm playing a stupid. But she's made a lot of sacrifices for me, and I just want to tell her I love her and appreciate her.
Oh.
And we appreciate you also watching and commenting along, because it's always so nice to see you pop up and see that people actually want to, people like watching and are invested in this part.
It is a part.
Yes.
Everyone loves Pete. And
everyone has someone at home. Everyone that was playing has someone at home that sacrificed to get them there. Mm-hmm. Even versus water game, there were dads at home watching the other kids, or there were co-workers covering for shifts. Somebody was there to help them get there, in my opinion.
That's true. And to answer Anessa's question, have I played live games? I actually have played many live games, and I played with Pete in Wisconsin. That is where we met. What was that, 4 years ago in 2016? And I can't believe we're still talking, Pete. This is amazing. I'm so so happy.
You just like Chris backstabbed me, and then I backstabbed him. Oh, and so we got Chris.
He got so pissed because Chris was my friend, and Pete knew that. He's like, Chris backstabbed me, sent me a text.
Well, I mean, the whole tribe just wanted Pete out because he was very vocal about who he wanted out, and nobody liked that. So I think he went out 7-1. But Pete came back, and he got me, and he got my allies out, but then I got to take him out one last time.
It's all, at the end of the day, guys, it's a game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's for fun. And we're here to meet new people and have fun. That's the best part. And I think that's why your final words ring so true is everybody walks away from these games not expecting the friendships. I think I remember a lot of the people who had never played before expressing to me that they didn't realize how emotional it was going to be, and they didn't realize how close they were going to get with other people. And that's kind of the best part.
That's a really great question for Anessa. From Anessa, I think.
Pete, were you looking for idols, or did you think that would make you look sneaky?
Oh, I looked, Anessa. They were long gone by the time I looked. I am not good at finding idols. And I want to give another quick shout out, because I know you're going to end this really quickly. And that's just Susan. Susan was an older lady, and she played really well. She got swapped and could have been in a bad spot, but she pulled herself out of it. And I'm really proud of Susan. I mean, she was a role model for me as well. And her daughter, Emily, helped her a lot. And had Penny and I done that, I would have been the same way with her. But, I just want to give a shout out to Susan. I haven't said much about her tonight, but
well into the real game. I mean, obviously, we're all big Survivor fans. That's what started all of this. And it's amazing in the small amount of time how friendships are built in these games. You can imagine in the real Survivor world when they're there for 9 days.
39 days.
I think that the Real Foot is probably the closest game to the real show. So I'm sure Anessa can attest this because she spent 9 days out there. I think that is something incredibly bonding, that experience. 9 days in the woods of Kentucky, Tennessee, or wherever.
How many days have we played together in 2 seasons? We played 7 days and then 6 days together. A total of probably 12 or 13 days together with Pete. I don't know. The first season we were on the same tribe, same swap, same merge, and I got out of there, and Miss Penny was shocked at how well I knew Pete.
And Anessa brings up the point she lost 10 pounds, but I remember you, Stan, you told me you lost a lot of weight when you played
10 pounds, and I lost 8 pounds the second time. And Pete lost a bunch.
That's insane. I'm thinking about applying just so I can lose weight, honestly.
Right back in 1 to 2 days.
Yeah,
that's true. When Pete makes his hash brown casserole, it's all back.
And Parker's a good question, but Pete, did you have any names for your alliances in Survivor New York?
Oh my God!
We did not have an alliance name. It was Mark, Eddie, and Pete, and then of course before it was Katie, Mark, Eddie, and Pete. That we were the 4.
I feel like Charles was in there too,
Yeah, Charles
right?
was also part of
At the
it.
beginning. Oh yeah, he was.
Okay, but he went out and then so he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I don't even know how many days of Real Foot I played, and I didn't even play that many, but it just goes by. It all blends together.
I have a question for Pete. So obviously, like, no one's seen this footage in 2 years. What was the most surprising thing that you saw in the episodes for you?
Oh, that's gonna be easy for me, and I'm sorry. You know, I left that game and went and spent time with Sam in New York. But some of the things he said in the game, he denies to this day that y'all have edited that. But some of the things that he said in the game that I didn't know he said surprised me. I love one of his comments. He said, he was telling Anessa and them, he said, now Pete's here to win. I just want y'all to know he's here to win, and I'm just here to have fun. I screamed at the computer and said, well, I won't say exactly what I said, but I'm gonna tell you all, bull crap. Sam, it meant a whole lot more to Sam to beat me than it did for me to beat him. But there was a few things that I was a little surprised about that I didn't know till the footage.
Oh yeah, there's the great conversation where he talks about how he wants to kick your butt with Gary and Charles, and
that's my biggest surprise because we never discussed that in New York. It was just over.
You're over, you're having a good time, and then meanwhile, I'm like, you know what Sam just said about you, Pete?
Pete, you would know the answer to this. Do you think Sam would play a live reality game ever again, or is he a one and done type of player?
I think he would play a short live game again. I've tried to get Sam to apply for Real Foot multiple seasons, including this next season. Sam is ADHD, you all probably know. He's listening and laughing. He gets very bent out of shape when he has to wait. He's not a very patient waiter, as you all know, as production. He can do 3 days. He can do 7, 8 days. Sam Miller would kill somebody.
Bless his heart.
Not a big live reality game. I think the 2-day game, the weekend game, was perfect for him.
And then there was a nice little dessert where he gets to see New York City on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what we went for.
That's how you ultimately.
That's how I got him to go. Was just
I think that's a good benefit for Survivor New York. It's like it's so close to New York City. It's so close to Woodbury Commons. There's a lot of things to do around here.
Yeah, and it actually is a lot from people coming out of town. It's a great excuse to see New York City. Like, yeah, most of the players live around here, and that's kind of it's easier. But there's people that are coming, people like Susie and them coming from Maryland, and then obviously the Kentucky boys, who one of them hasn't seen New York City. That's a cool experience that I think is what's good about our and it's not like further away from the city. It's an hour train ride, literally.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, see, Sam and I play other games together. Sam and I are always competing. We played some other Survivor games, like in-house. Like we have a lot of during the season. We play games. We bet on everything.
I remember you telling me that you bet with each other a ton on things.
On Survivor.
Yes.
Oh, we bet on everything. We'll bet on who's the closest to getting the right time when something's going to happen, and we'll do it down to the second. And it's usually involving food. But
I think the funniest thing about Sam, like, I almost wanted to make a drinking game with Sam. Anytime he names the people that are in his alliance, you take a shot, because it happens a lot. He loves to name the people that he's with, and he loves to leave Louis out every time. I think that.
Chris, I have something I have to say. I know we're out of time.
We're not out of time. We got all the time in the world.
I beat Sam in the first challenge. And if those that didn't just get to watch it, guys, we had to do that twice.
Yep.
I beat him the first time, but he whined. I hope he's still on. And cried so bad that he didn't think it was fair that he had beat me. Or it was a tie. And so
I forgot.
Rewind the footage.
Yep.
You all determined that it was so close. We had to do it again.
The recount. Sam wanted to recount.
As long as y'all know I beat him.
That is so funny. I totally forgot about that, but I remember having to have Stan look at the footage, and redo that. That's so crazy.
Yeah, Sam says, honestly, I just went for the opportunity to see New York City, but I have to admit, I enjoyed playing the game, and yes, I was in it to win it.
And now
absolutely, we knew. I mean, I filmed a lot of Sam's confessionals. Like, I knew that I wanted, and Sam's a friend, so when he would be out, I'd film because Sam had a lot of game in him. If Sam made a couple of key moves in the game, and one of them was forming a nice alliance with the people he was working with, to give credit. I don't know what happens at the end yet. I forgot. But like at this time, Sam is well protected with, the people that he's working with, and gotta give credit where credit is due. He put himself in a good position moving forward with his loved one now gone. A huge target off his back is now gone. He's no longer a pair. So it's interesting to watch the next few episodes to see how Sam kind of recovers from this. I don't think it's a recover. I think what Pete said is an albatross off his shoulder. That
Morgan. Me leaving, I'm gone. And but Nassim's very strategic. He's a basketball coach. He has coached winning teams. He's won district titles. He's led a lot of young men on the court, and he's a golfer, and he's very athletic. So I was excited to be a physical challenge. But that's I couldn't tell y'all that. I did too. But that's another story. But anyway, Sam's very strategic. Don't count Sam out at all.
Right.
He's there. He's in it. He's vested.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let's talk about like the preview. So for next week, you guys are going to see one of my favorite challenges that we created, which was something that they did in Survivor Nicaragua. And I think they did it in another season. But during this challenge, it's going to be a very fun opportunity where if the players drop out of the challenge, they're going to get a clue to a hidden immunity idol. So I think that the preview is fun. We see Anessa strategizing with Emily. I'm really excited for this episode, and there are some definite stars in this one, and I'm really excited for you guys to see the revelation.
Sam has just commented that he threw the challenge for you, Pete, which
I know
I know we said that that's what Tenchea should have done, but I don't think that's what happened.
You can say that all day.
Parker has a great question, which is, in this game, was Pete a hero or a villain? And Anessa says villain, but that's because villains are best. I actually think that Pete is a bit of a hero in this because you are protecting this Yellow Alliance. You want these, these people that you come to really care about to do well. And I think it's a very sort of heroic step come merge. I think if there was more footage, maybe it could have been a villain edit, but I think it's hero.
I feel like the Yellow Tribe, I hate to say this, but the way that they were playing strategically, they just all seemed like heroes, and everyone on Purple to me just seemed like very villainous. And like seeing their confessionals, like the Purple Tribe was willing to make fun of each other, especially like Louis saying Avanti like looked like a newborn giraffe, like something like silly things like that, things that were funny. But the Yellow Tribe was all about like love and bonding, and just seemed more unified way through.
Had a lot
and I think
to do with that vibe.
And I totally agree. Pete made that like a love tribe from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when Pete is a villain edited, sometimes we do have that Facebook picture where we're both wearing a villain hat at the one point. But I think that Pete, in his heart and in this game, is, and I'm going to say it publicly, Pete, you're a hero. Absolutely. I think the way that people gravitated, trusted him, kind of used Pete as someone who they could work with, no matter what their intentions are. And Pete, he was very protective of his people. He was very loyal to the people he wanted to. He even extended he was loyal to the point where he didn't entertain his blood pairing. And that probably cost him the game, where all the other pairs were kind of working with each other. So kind of stood up for what he believed in, and I think he had a hero edit this time.
I wasn't leaving yellow. That wasn't going to happen.
Oh, I knew that.
So, Pete, I just had one other question, because you had said that you weren't really surprised that you went home. But, like, at what point did you know that it was you? Was it, like, when I was reading the votes for your name? Like, was it when you got knocked out of the challenge? Was it maybe before Tribal Council, when maybe you had heard your name by somebody? At what point did you know, like, okay, the nails in the coffin.
It was reading the votes. Eddie and Mark kept that for me 100%. It was strictly reading the votes when I was doing the Anessa counting. She didn't do it on her fingers, I do. But I'm thinking, too many votes. So they weren't falling right. And we can predict how you're going to read the votes, so.
I like this Louis comment that Pete is without a doubt a hero, but he was the villain for the purple side.
Louis. I would like to have played and worked with Louis. I've seen Louis play in another game, and he's also a really good player.
Yeah, Louis has a great. He played in Survival Challenge, and I think I was glued to my phone. I was out to dinner with my parents and my boyfriend watching Louis play Survivor.
And because of this game, we watched Louis, and we from New York were rooting for Louis. That was great.
I think it was the same way when Anessa played Reelfoot. Like I was glued. Like anytime I saw like something Anessa related, I was like, I gotta watch it. I gotta see what Anessa's doing on Reelfoot right now.
In the South to you, Chris.
Oh my God, that was the funniest thing about that entire thing. Every time Amos said "I Nessa," I literally like cried laughing. It was the best thing.
Anessa, that's how they say it in the South.
Anessa played in the hardest, in my opinion, the hardest Reelfoot season in the.
Yeah, it was raining.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It rained for like 4 days.
Yes, and so Anessa asked me for a little bit of advice before she went out there, and I have no strategy advice for her because I suck. But I was like, "Bring a coat. You're gonna be cold." I remember being very cold out there, and she was like, "Bring a coat? Are you kidding me?" And then I was like, bring your winter coat. I swear to God, because also Anessa's like a twig, so if I'm cold, Anessa's gonna just freeze over. So I was right, and she needed that winter coat out there, and she was like, I was the only one who was warm.
It was the worst season, and one of my favorite seasons. I will say that too. Season 8 was a
great season. Alex Wagner is a great pal of ours, which actually, Stan, brings me to a good point. Which is, Stan, you're competing in, am I frozen? There we go. Live to Give.
Yes.
So, Stan, tell us a little bit about that.
So next summer, I'm competing in Live to Give, which is a charity survivor event in Minnesota run by Brandon Nelson, fundraising for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And we have 2 weeks to go. I would really appreciate if anyone can drop $1 to whatever they can afford. I know times are hard, but really appreciate anything, guys. But having said that, I highly encourage everyone to apply to a live reality game, no matter if it's Survivor New York, Live to Give, Reelfoot. There's a lot out there. I think it's the experience and the people. I think it's the people that make the experience worthwhile, and the people that you meet over the years that not just become friends, become your family. I promised Chris one time I'll be back in Survivor New York and visit for a weekend, and it's just so special. And obviously, I can't speak enough about Pete. You thought I was gonna make fun of you this podcast, huh, Pete?
now to make fun of me, Stan.
No, Pete and I are good buddies, and that's a testament to a live game. It's crazy. Like I think Pete said it best. Like, who would have thought a 60-something-year-old politician and a young Asian doctor like met in the woods of Tennessee and became like best buddies? Sorry, Sam, I'm his live game best buddy. True story. And like 6 years later, like Pete and I still hang out. We're hanging out next week. Oh no, it's Saturday.
Saturday, Stan's coming for our family Thanksgiving dinner.
Lunch.
Naomi, do you want to drive down to Kentucky with me?
I'll drive down
let's
to Kentucky with you, Chris. Sure thing. And look, just in time, we have Genki here to say, "Oh my gosh, Pete and Stan." What I loved about a little bit about quarantine is that like we got to connect with so many people through orgs and through things like the Sequester Mini, and like getting to see like you, Stan, play with Hoy. Like these are also, and Davey too, like such exciting moments. If you haven't
me out at 4, but
if you haven't watched the Sequester Minis that feature some of our former contestants, we have people from season 4, and we have our own mini as well, and season 3. It's worth it because I think everybody is so entertaining and so fun. And if you want to see Stan kick my ass at the Final Four, you can watch the Survivor Brooklyn South mini.
I didn't kick your ass. We worked together the whole time.
Yeah, and then you said you're out of here. So anyways, this is all to say that we hope that you'll get involved with the live reality game, and that we hope that you will stay tuned for the last stretch of Survivor New York, because not to get too spoilery ahead, but I think, Pete, even you giving your sort of final jury question is an emotional question. I loved this finale. I loved watching it and experiencing it. I don't know if you guys remember that I was just absolutely sobbing at the final tribal council, but I was.
Yeah.
And we're gonna relive all those emotions again. So I'm really excited, and I hope everyone will.
So just say thank you. Thank you to you guys for doing this. It's a lot of work, Chris, Naomi, the rest of your production, Stan, Alex, and Dan. I mean, takes a lot behind the scenes to pull these off, and again, it's a life changer. It's a life changer. It changes my life every time I touch one of these games. So there you go. Thanks.
Absolutely. And I think it's all thanks, no matter what, it's all thanks to Chris, because Chris allows us into his home and allows us to be there and create such madness. And
that's so nice.
It's the best thing. And
the thing is, like, I feel like they're like all family. It's so weird because it's like we keep talking about this, but it's like any of these people are always allowed. Like, if anyone was like, "Hey, I'm outside your house, like right now. Do you think I could go on your tribal council?" Which has happened before. Somebody messaged me while I was at work and was like, "We're parked outside your house. Can we like go in your backyard and like show our family your tribal council that you have built back there?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm at work." But like, if I was home, like everyone's welcome to come back and like hang out. Totally. And so that's what I love. We're a community, we're a family. And it doesn't just mean Survivor New York. It is Real Foot, it is Pirate Booty Camp, all the games together, we're all family.
Yeah, and it's funny because Chris, I've known you for a while, and I've gotten a chance to know your family as well. And they were saying to me that they're telling me that this has been Chris's dream to host his own game. And it's back then we were like kids, literal kids playing these orgs. I could see it that one day you wanted to have your own show, your own production, and like actually before even Survivor New York 1, remember when it was just literally a background game with just your friends coming up for the weekend.
Yes. I think this is the great opportunity for us, Stan, to talk about that game. If you want to talk about season 0.
Yeah, sure. Why,
so basically, well, first of all, thank you for your words, because we've known each other for a long time.
I voted them out multiple times, blindsided them.
And orgs and stuff like that.
Multiple
times.
The
predecessor to Survivor New York is testing out your game. That's one of the most important things you can do in hosting a live reality game, is to maybe get a group of friends and like get an idea of like what you're able to do. Like what are some boundaries? Like what are things you need to get done before you actually like set out like a real game. So I got 16 friends and family members, which we also had Daniel and David from Survivor Real Foot season 2 play the game. Their good friend, their good friend Emily. Gary from this season was also competing in that.
Gary was there too.
A few other people from live reality games, and then my sister Chantel played in season 0, and then also played in season 2. And that was like the beginning for Survivor New York, to test out this game, to test out what I was able to do. And the people that were there, and to the people that are still part of it now, there's a growth. And I think, Stan, you got to see a lot of that growth.
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, what I think is the best part of it is that, Chris, you never stop hoping for what is the next big thing. You're always looking to do the next big thing. That's what I kind of love about Survivor New York, and it's actually what I love about Real Foot as well, and all these other games that are always striving to be bigger and better and more efficient and more diverse and more bigger casts, bigger ideas. It's what makes the live reality game community so great, and it's such a blessing to get to meet everybody and watch everybody sort of evolve and cheer everyone on. I think for a game that's all about fake voting each other out, for a community that's all about competing, we're all very nice. we're all rooting for each other.
And I want to say thank you to Parker for saying that, like, because I know, I mean, I've never met Parker, but I know that you guys are all friends with him. I know he's a real Foot Survivor legend. I think he's hosting his own live reality game next year in Texas or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's great that we can always like uplift each other, and I'm always excited to like dive into new series. Which I need to dive into Survivor U Michigan because Naomi keeps telling me to watch it.
So one more thing about Pete. He's gonna hate me for saying this, but he's wearing a PVA jacket right now. You're not gonna hate me, Pete. But Pete just won. Like, this is a testament to how good Pete is. Pete just won an election, like today or yesterday, right?
I don't think we talk about it enough. Pete, talk about
he
this.
Just beat someone pretty easily in this entire state of Kentucky, and he was texting me today. He's like, "I just won against somebody for like the entire state." I'm like, "What? Like even my county?" He's like, "Yep, even your county." I'm like, "That's just like, how do you like? This is Pete."
Pete, are you allowed to say like your position? Like,
I'm going to give you a 1 minute, 30-second synopsis. I'm an educator at heart. I've taught 3rd grade, 6th grade, elementary principal, and then the district superintendent's office. Retired in 06, ran for public office. It's a state position, but each county in the state has one. And I won that in 2006 by 20 votes after a recount. I've been in that office 4 terms, which is almost 16 years. I plan to run again, which will give me 20 years in my second career, which is kind of an accomplishment I'm proud of. But today, I was in an election for my association, the county tax assessors across the state. There were 120 of them. There was 3 people running for secretary. I won that race today from the PVAs across the state. PVA stands for Property Valuation Administrator. But there was a lot of politicking going on for that position.
Can you imagine how Pete Morgan just turns on the charm to win that position? Like, I can see it, obviously.
Yeah, but I was proud to win it. I won it pretty big, so that was kind of fun too. You know, I have to win. I don't know if y'all know that about me. I don't always want to wear the crown. Sometimes I want to wear the crown. I don't have it's nice to wear it.
I love that.
That's so fun. And so I think unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about, it's time to wrap up. It's time to go to bed. But I just wanted to thank everybody who's here for joining us. Chris, Pete, and Stan. It is like such a pleasure to get to talk to all of you and reconnect with you guys again. And thank you to Penny for joining us as well. It's a real treat.
Enjoy that.
And I think it's congratulations also on your anniversary, and you have so many exciting things happening this month. I think it's so special that we get to talk to you right now. If you want to support Survivor New York, hi Mama May, how are you doing? It's great to see everybody here, old friends online. It's a real treat. Episode 9 airs Friday at 9 p.m. or 7 p.m. I got a text. I texted our group chat, and then Louis said, why is it Friday? I said, it's always been Friday. And he said, I don't know what day it is. So it's Friday at 7 p.m. And we're going to have a great time. This episode has my favorite Fike idol clue ever. And I cannot wait for everybody to see the scene. You could see my hands in the preview. You could see me reaching for the idol. But this is all to say, we hope that you'll subscribe and tune into Survivor New York each and every week. We're so close to the finale. I think we have 5 episodes left, Chris?
Yeah, there's still 5 episodes, which is still like good. There's still a lot more content. There's still a lot more gameplay. There's still a lot more blindsides. And we get to see Pete until the very end because he's on the jury. And he looks so good. He looks so good on the jury. His outfit is so nice.
Yes. Pete knew what I meant when I said dress snazzy. Pete knew.
I remember.
And that's really all there is.
So great.
That's all there is to it. Pete, thank you so much for being here with us. We're sad to see you go, but we're so happy to get to catch up with you.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm right there every Tuesday or Wednesday.
We love it, and we'll see you in the comments, I'm sure, next week when you talk to the next person. And I can tell you that our next guest, not the person eliminated, but will be Jess from production, our lovely camera woman. If you see a shot that looks really, really pretty, it was probably her. So she will be joining us next week. We were so excited, and thank you everybody for watching, for commenting, for talking to us, and have a good night. Everyone say good night to the audience.
Bye, guys.
Good night, guys.
Bye.